Hey everybody, welcome back after this quick break. It's still ticketing me on the desk here, and we're about to witness the last matchup of the winners round 1 in the top 8 here in the Questline Open Major. And it's going to be yet another banger. GeForce versus the Underdog versus Sucker Punch. We've been talking about them before. Tickety, break down the roster of GeForce for us.
Yeah, so we did get a look at GeForce playing some games yesterday. Like you said, rounding out the winners bracket round 1 today. We got Strider and Anyhow lining up the tanks, and we got Pummy and Ultimate Web. These are the two I'll be looking at on the DPS line. Yesterday we saw Ultimate Web absolutely crushing it on the Tracer, Pummy holding it down on heroes like the Ashe. Did
you lose audio? Just for a second. Okay, good. No, still moving. That's a bummer. I really wanted to hear what they were saying.
Yeah, something you mentioned there too that we haven't really touched on is seeing Sucker Punch here with more than just a 6-man roster, having those having those subs available for both support and the DPS lineup might mean they can pull out some tricks that might catch GeForce off guard with only their 6-man roster. Seeing that we are in such a flexible state of the meta, we're seeing picks being chosen on a map-by-map basis, so it's not just the same composition everywhere. It's not just goats everywhere, as some of you might remember, but we're seeing a lot of Reinhardt on rush-based maps. We're seeing a lot of Wrecking Ball on open maps with lots of flank routes. We're seeing Winston Rush. We're seeing lots of different variants, and even within those compositions, variants upon themselves, like we saw in Roadhog Rides Again versus Bay State. We saw Bay State playing a very classic Cassidy and May Reinhardt brawl comp, but then Roadhog Rides Again pulls out the Doomfist and then throws them off balance and things like that. So lots of potential for flexibility here, and we'll see if Sucker Punch can make use of their full roster.
Yeah, absolutely. So that flexibility they bring in there is definitely going to be an advantage for them, especially facing off against such a strong enemy like GeForce here in that last round, in the last matchup in the winners bracket. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that matchup, as we have two super good casters here, but it seems like we've got technical issues, do we? Seems to be something wrong with the audio. But yeah.
Yeah, we've
However,
got Ageless and
we'll just
NewBeat
keep
coming in to
talking.
cast this game here. Yeah, we'll go over a few more things. Like we said earlier, GeForce on a huge hot streak, nothing but wins in the group stages. So we'll see if they can keep that momentum going forward. I'm personally hyped up for GeForce to see them play again. I loved the permanent POV on Ultimate Web because he's just always all over the map, taking control, taking fights, and for the most part coming out ahead and being able to purely individually influence those games, and a lot of playmaking off of his back. From what I was saying, of course, not to be understated, the pressure following up from the rest of his team, of course, but definitely looking forward to the individual playmaking potential from GeForce and to see if they can really take control of them this match the same way they had yesterday. But like you said, this has been a long weekend, potentially last game of the weekend if they manage to close out this win and they get to take a break until next week. But yeah, losers bracket, whoever loses this match will be going up. Who are they facing when they go up? They'll be going up against Bay State. So obviously Bay State hungry to bounce back off that loss. So winning is a good sign, means you can start planning for next weekend, start practicing again, take a few breaks here and there when you need to reset, but obviously looking to close out the win just to make it further in the tournament here. The competition is going to be tough no matter who you're playing, winner's side, loser's side, wherever it is. So it's time for these teams to give them their all and make sure that they are able to perform to their peaks.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to this matchup, not only because we're facing two super good teams, but as well because it's teams who will keep seeing in this year, because I'm sure GeForce as well as Sucker Punch, those teams have been around for some time, and I'm sure they're here to stay. So especially GeForce, one of the best teams which is not in the T2 scene yet, they're going to be one of the ones to watch when it comes to Open Division, when it comes to the next tournament, which can bring you into those higher circles. And talking about higher circles, we're going right over to the highest circles here. Ageless and NewBeat ready for the casting booth here, casting GeForce against Sucker Punch. I think we're good to go. So Ageless and NewBeat, take it away.
Thank you so much, Julian, and thank you, Tickety. We are also looking forward to this next match. Once again, that's Ageless, I'm NewBeat. We're getting ready for GeForce and Sucker Punch, and it should be a really fun match, and I'm really pulling for Sucker Punch in this one so I can get at least one prediction right.
Yeah, it is going to be an uphill battle. I think we saw an upset, obviously, with Roadhog Rides again against Bay State in our previous match. It really does seem like everything is up for grabs, though. I think Sucker Punch, as we said a little bit earlier, coming in as the dark horse, they haven't been, they're not as well known as GeForce is especially. So definitely have an advantage being able to look at VODs and they know their play style a little bit. It's whether they're going to be able to mitigate the kind of like unbridled aggression that it just comes pouring out of GeForce the entire game that they play. They give no room to breathe, no time to set up again. We saw it on Junkertown, not even allowing like second spawn.
Yeah, and GeForce yesterday was frankly a force. There's not a better way to put it. I don't think they looked absolutely fantastic yesterday. And today they are the favorites going up against Sucker Punch. I mean, Cuffle looked great on the Wrecking Ball when they were playing. I know Tickety and Julian just mentioned, how good Ultimate Web looked on the Tracer. There are a lot of bright spots for GeForce, and it is going to be an absolutely gargantuan order for Sucker Punch to take them down.
Yeah, we've actually seen Sucker Punch a little bit ourselves in the past, especially Star and Void have been really strong on those tanks and pretty flexible as well. I think we've seen Sucker Punch play a pretty wide variety of compositions. So if they're able to come in and maybe, be a little bit more prepared for what GeForce has to offer, it could be their chance to catch them off guard a little bit, force them to play a little out of their comfort zone, which is kind of what GeForce has been forcing everybody else to do. It's like, even if you're playing, the heroes you want, the composition you want, the map you want, they're so good at making teams uncomfortable no matter where they are.
And with that, I remember our talk this morning with Jag, which seemed like a million years ago in our pre-game show kind of this morning. And Jag was really talking about how good Magic 8-Ball was on the flex support role as well. So there are really a lot of strong forces for GeForce coming up in this match. And one role I'm going to be looking at for Sucker Punch is Aspect and Havoc on the DPS line.
Yeah, you had mentioned that earlier. They're definitely some of the highlight players from Sucker Punch. You can see here it's going to be Aspect, Jesco, Trev Stack on DPS. So definitely having more of those substitutions, as Julian and Tickety were saying. Star and Void are going to be on the tanks with Ross, Bandit, and Fiza on the supports.
Yeah, and you and I at least are familiar with GeForce as we did cast them yesterday, but just a refresher for their roster as well. They got Pummy and Ultimate Web on the DPS line, and then you got Strider and Anyhow for the tanks, and rounding out the support line, as we just mentioned, Magic Meatball and Madero.
Yeah, we did see Kuffa yesterday in there, so it seems like today is going to be Strider and Anyhow. So a bit of a different look. We'll see if they can keep up that same pace and that same tempo that they were setting so consistently.
Definitely points to maybe a different composition coming out yesterday with Kuffa. GeForce was running a lot of Wrecking Balls, so maybe Strider and Anyhow want to run a different main tank, specifically Strider, who I'm assuming will be starting in that main tank slot.
Yeah, I think with GeForce, they're so well known now for these Wrecking Ball compositions and kind of like just taking teams apart with them. I don't think we're going to see like too much, but you're right. Like there is a chance here that they're going to have a little bit of a different look.
And I would normally say with GeForce having a hamster on their logo, you'd expect a lot of Wrecking Ball, but we did just witness Roadhog Rides again play with no Roadhogs, so really not indicative with the logo of what you're actually going to see. But I think GeForce, whatever they come out with, they are going to be a very strong team.
Yeah, definitely the favorites here, and it's as the desk said, you win this, you're up against Roadhog Rides again, which just looked so thoroughly oppressive in their match against Bay State. Or you lose and you get to go face Bay State.
Yeah, either way, it's not going to be a fun time. And it's really interesting to see how strong that lower bracket is shaping up to be. There's a couple teams in there already that we did not expect. And just hypothetically, if GeForce was to lose this match, that lower bracket would be pretty stacked.
Yeah, that's a scary bracket all on its own. Like Aja, dysfunctional, Bay State. This is a scary lower bracket to be in, especially when you are out of lives. There's no more chances left when you're facing into those. And with Aja and dysfunctional, is going to be our match after this, and then either GeForce or Sucker Punch is going to have to face Bay State, who are just playing so much Overwatch over the last couple days.
Yeah, you gotta kind of feel bad for Bay State just adding one more game onto their workload. But I think Bay State, they mentioned it on the desk too, they're going to be hungry. They're going to want to win after that last performance against Roadhog Rides again, and they are going to be out for redemption.
Yeah, and they're going to need it. They did come back and win all their games at the end of yesterday, including an entire day in collegiate. And they're going to need to keep it up. I think either way, whether it's GeForce or Sucker Punch, this is not going to be an easy game. We've seen Sucker Punch give it to quite a few teams. We've seen a few of their scrims before, and they're not pushovers. They're the lower seed coming in here. I think they were 5-2 at the end of the day yesterday. By all means, this is not going to be an easy match, I don't think.
Yeah, they were 5-2, right? So they won 5 games. That's nothing to shake a stick at. Obviously, they do have some skill, and it is going to be interesting to see how they decide to go about beating GeForce. What roster do they want to run? What compositions do they want to run? They do have a lot of options open to them. As the desk mentioned just a moment ago, like there's not as much known about them, so maybe they can throw a curveball or two.
Absolutely, and especially with how the meta has been going, where you can choose to lean more on that individualistic play, on the mechanics coming into it. Star is a fantastic tech. We've seen some really nice play from them on the Wrecking Ball, on Winston, on Arissa. They can be quite flexible and stay really competitive across a variety of content.
Yes, and I won't ask you for any kind of a prediction now because we already covered that earlier. Ageless, you're going for GeForce. I'm taking Sucker Punch as far as predictions go in this one. But for starting with GeForce, who are you most excited to see today?
After yesterday, I gotta say, Ultima Web was absolutely disgusting. It was so terrifying. I wasn't playing, and I was still worried about like my life. Like, am I gonna get one clip somehow?
Yeah, that is how good Ultima Web is. And like I mentioned, Jag really talked up Magic 8 Ball this morning, and there's nothing wrong with that. Magic 8 Ball looked absolutely fantastic yesterday, and it is going to be a strong showing for GeForce. I just have a feeling that unless there's some wild surprise, they might have the better chance, even though I'm still taking Sucker Punch.
Yeah, definitely a set up for success. You can see obviously a pretty successful track record there for GeForce. But you know, we've said it a few times. Sucker Punch, there is some advantage to kind of coming out of nowhere, and people are like, who is this team? What are they going to be running? You can hopefully prepare a little bit better versus a team like GeForce that has a pretty established track record and a pretty established play style, even if they are making some of these roster changes today.
So the teams right now just getting everything ready to go, just looking at some map sets, and we are going to be going to Ilios to start us off.
So definitely a variety of compositions available here on Ilios. Especially, it seems like this kind of like chaos comp. You can kind of play it anywhere. You can see why it does well in ranked. It's like Ghost, but kind of the opposite at the same time. No one really needs to be talking to each other. It seems like just like go out there and kill.
Yeah, it's like Ghost, but almost nothing like that. Is some insight there for sure. Ilios is going to be fun. Let's take a look at what sub-map we're going to first. It looks like Ruins. So Ruins is kind of the odd map out when it comes to Ilios. You can see some more sniper compositions that you might not see on other maps just because of the longer sight lines. And the tactics that go through and work here on Ruins might not carry over to the next two maps.
5, 4,
Yeah, not quite the same availability for environmental kills. You can go to the coast and things like that, but it plays a little bit tighter with the little pit where the point is.
Aspect using the teleporter there to get Sucker Punch going towards the point. We can see right now both teams running a Sombra, so the EMP is going to be a point of focus when those ultimates come online in a moment. Star looking at a little bit of a just engagement from the left-hand side.
We actually do have Kuffa in here, so it's going to be Kuffa and anyhow on the tank line, so probably seeing more of this really aggressive Wrecking Ball play.
And with that, you can see right now Eugene just sitting up on the top ropes, throwing in some shots right now. Not really finding any targets, but anyhow, as Mindy Mech, that is going to be the opening salvo coming in. Ultimate Weapon is able to get rid of the Mech of Void, so no mechs to speak of right now in this fight. Kuffa's taking on the high ground, looking for an engage with that Wrecking Ball. Maybe a pile driver, but Void is able to finish off anyhow, who's once again been taken out of their mech.
You can see this kind of like similar playstyle from Roadhog Rides again, where trying to catch these established teams a little bit off guard by just investing more resources than you would expect.
Kuffa had to roll out momentarily. They were getting pretty low on health, and with that, Icy Bandit is going down. That's the more that's a lot of falling. Healing gone for Sucker Punch. Trubstax was able to get one back, getting rid of Magic 8 Ball, but finally it looks like the fight is turning, and it's turning the way of GeForce.
Fairly expensive fight for them there, though. They ended up using the minefield towards the end, whereas on the other side, Sucker Punch has now moved over to more of a, they're on the 6-man now, keeping with the Sombra, but Aspect is on the Reaper. Hoping to have a little bit more, I guess, quick fight, trying to isolate, especially Eugene.
Eugene is always going to be a target with that Zenyatta, especially right now as they do not have a Transcendence. And going in first, Bunny, they're able to take down the Icy Bandit once again, really focusing down that Moira, it seems, so far for GeForce, and that is allowing them to push forward, knowing that healing isn't available for Sucker Punch, and that is a very quick fight when pushing Sucker Punch back. They're not even able to get anywhere near the point right now.
Up ahead rolled through and pulled a ton of aggro, forcing a little bit of an over-investment. Force just collapses as soon as everyone turns towards Kuffa.
They were able to get Kuffa in the end that time around. Pummy's going to throw in the EMP. That's going to get a couple members, but not too much happening right now. Sucker Punch is still trying to get onto this point and take it back over. Big Diva Bomb coming in over the top is not going to find anything, but Aspect gets one with the Death Blossom. And with Ross following that up, this is Sucker Punch taking over right now, able to get the third pick. It's a 6-on-3 fight, and that usually means a win, and that is going to be the case here as Aspect gets rid of Ultimate Web as well. And a good fight for Sucker Punch as they're just getting through the cleanup.
82% for the side of GeForce here. This is really gonna, they're gonna have to play very carefully here. Sucker Punch is gonna need to play pretty perfectly. Trevstax does have this EMP. They're gonna need to capitalize on this in a major way. It's the only ultimate they have, and Aspect is gone.
That's big. That's no Aspect in the fight. They don't have to worry about that Reaper now. Luckily, Ross was able to trade that back, and now Star pushing forward. This looks like it's going to be just okay for Sucker Punch. Not a big deal at all. Kuffa gets the roll through onto Trevstax, but that's going to be a little bit late as the minefield comes in onto the point. Can Ultim turn this around? It looks like it's going to be a tall order right now. Throws in the Pulse Bomb, but that goes wide. Self-destruct in onto the point right now from Void as Aspect gets a kill onto Ultimate Web. So little Tracer v Tracer action. Eugene back to the fight, throwing in those destruction orbs, able to destroy Aspect, and now back on the point. GeForce has taken it back over with that Transcendence.
You can see now just stacking these ultimates on top of each other. The EF from Pummy, it's just unrelenting. Oh wow, quite the whip shot there to finish things off. His Magic 8 Ball. We talked them up before, and you can see why they're extremely dangerous. But with these kind of like this Chaos comp, this Ball Zen comp, you go down 1-2 members, and in a lot of other competitions, you know, you could even see even with 6-man there, you lose your Reaper, you lose your Diva, things are not looking great. Turn the fight around. Running this kind of self-sustained composition, the way it works, it's like, oh, we're down 2. Yeah, I think I'm going to use my ultimate. And it might work. There's just this swarm of bees that are just constantly around the rest, you know, Sucker Punch there, pulling them apart.
Way too many different areas to put your attention, and at the end of the day, when you can't focus on one, it's all going to fall apart. So now we are headed to Lighthouse, so a little bit of a different change here. Not too much in the ways of compositions. A Star still on that Winston and Kuffa on the Wrecking Ball for those main tanks as both teams coming together once again.
Spec now on the Sombra. Oh boy, Eugene.
The Icy Bandit has been unlucky, getting picked very early on in at least 3 of these fights by my count so far. And once that pick comes through, GeForce knows a lot of that utility coming for the Moira is just not irrelevant anymore. You can see Kuffa finishing off Ross with the pile driver. Point unlocked and point taken right away by GeForce. Another quick start.
Yeah, with the Moira gone, so much of that sustain disappears. And again, we're seeing Kuffa and Ultimate Web just so much aggression here, not letting teams set up. If you know, if someone goes forward a little bit, tries to get that poke damage or tries to do any scouting, they're just on top of them. They're keeping teams in the dark just consistently as Trevstax goes down.
That's going to be unfortunate. That's going to delay any meaningful push Sucker Punch might have. Now they're already down one of their DPS players. Don't really want to take this 5v6, even though they are slowly advancing forward here towards GeForce.
You can see Kuffa collapsing on those discorded targets from Eugene so effectively here. And almost up to another minefield.
Getting very close into minefield is now unlocked. They try to throw it down. They were hacked, but the mines did get out before the hack came through. So very lucky there for Kuffa to get that ultimate off. Now the fight has moved over here, and with the Tracer both going for pulse bombs, they're both going to die to each other. Okay, so there's no Tracer diff there. That's a Tracer save. Both Tracers going down, and now Sucker Punch trying to get over onto the point again. Not really able to take it. Kuffa doing so much work right now on that Wrecking Ball, and of course, as I say that, they get hacked out and thrown over the edge, but anyhow is still on the point trying to hold this out.
Ross does have beat available. Pummy waiting on this E as well, so 80% on the side of GeForce. You're walking into an EMP, you're walking into the bomb, the rally. This is going to be really tough for Sucker Punch. I feel like we're going to need to see a really aggressive and really effective EMP. They do have 5 ultimates coming into this fight, but they've only got 9% before they got to use them.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit telegraphed as G-Force knows Sucker Punch has to get over onto the objective. You can see the rally coming out early. Cuff is already able to get a pick onto Aspect, who wasn't able to get anybody with the EMP. Bomb comes out from Void just so they can get back into the mech right away and move over, contest onto that point. Primal Rage coming up from start, trying to juggle around Magic Mateball, and they're able to help finish them off as Icy Bandit is back into the fray. A nice boot coming out there from Ross as well. Star just sticking in onto this point. 2 members of each team on the objective. Ross finishes up Ultimate Weapon, but Eugene is on fire once again, and they're out for blood, getting a third. Eugene, what are you even doing? And Aspect has to translocate out. They know Eugene's going to take him out if they stay around too long. Cuffa just cleaning up the low health targets that are left on the point. That's going to do it for Ilios. A superb start for G-Force.
Eugene, the one kind of member of the composition that's able to find a lot of neutral value and having no trouble doing so. I think we'll probably see, this is probably towards the end. No, this isn't even that. This is just a different super frag play from the Zenyatta.
Yeah, this is definitely finding value in the neutral game, as you can see Eugene getting over another point. So this was the play at the end of the round. And with that, we are up 1-0 G-Force over Sucker Punch. And so far, so good for G-Force. Back to the drawing board if you're Sucker Punch, and you got a lot of ground to cover if you want to figure out how to get back at G-Force.
Yeah, they're just meeting all their win conditions. We're seeing Kaffa pull a lot of attention, a lot of cooldowns away from Sucker Punch with these roll-throughs, with these slams, and Eugene, you know, playing the Zenyatta into this role so perfectly here that the Discord targets have been on point. They're finding a ton of value in the neutral, and there's not really any real or meaningful pressure being put onto them. It seems like the attention is just so scattered amongst the different members here that no one can really be tracked down, that they're using that mobility to their full advantage.
Barring any substitutions, do you even see G-Force making any changes with the composition they're running, considering how effective it's been so far?
No, it's absolutely bullying. You're seeing, you know, members kind of just like poking their head out. I think there's Icy Bandit on the Moira, just trying to do a little bit of scouting, like not far from spawn. And Kappa's like, no, get back in there immediately, and punishing any sort of misplay, any sort of positioning errors, and not even just trying to get out, just trying to play the game.
Yeah, I just wanted to get back out, hang out with our friends back at the spawn, and it's not even possible.
Yeah, just trying to touch grass.
Yeah, exactly. And now it'll be interesting. What do you think Sucker Punch is going to do with their map selection?
They're going to have to try and force, I think, some sort of more point presence here. They're going to go Havana. I guess you can maybe, you just roll right into it. I think they're going to choose Havana. I think you did this last time. I think they're going to choose Havana. Maybe trying to force G-Force off of their game a little bit, make them play into like a double shield or something.
Yeah, I gotta get on that question a little bit quicker, but with Havana coming up, it can be a little bit rough for Wrecking-Ball at some points with the extra open space that you got, especially a little bit in the first point, but especially on the third point.
Yeah, they might be able to bunker up a little bit here, go a little bit more like poke or spam. Just try and shut down some of these heroes that are just, as I said before, like a swarm of bees, just continually circling around them, not giving any space. They're just choking teams out. We saw it yesterday, and we're seeing it again today. It is oppressive.
It truly is. And considering kind of how Sucker Punch started, they do have a couple players on the bench as well that we haven't seen yet. Jesco hasn't come in, neither has Visa. So maybe that's the cure to what ails them, is just bringing in a fresh face.
Yeah, and you know, maybe it comes down to just some hero pools. We've seen usually when teams start getting behind a little bit, we're more likely to see a Genji. We have seen it on both sides a couple times, especially on like Blizzard World, where it'll be like a double shield running the Genji in place of a Tracer. maybe this is it. Maybe this is time to pull out some comfort picks, pull out some, you know, like kind of tried and true ranked, and try and throw GeForce off.
It's worth a shot. We'll see what happens. It's going to start up with the GeForce on the attack first, so they will be able to set the pace and see if Sucker Punch can match it.
That's really what it comes down to, is they are setting the pace, and they're not giving anyone any time to even collect their thoughts. It seems like they're just out-tempoing everyone. And it looks like, I like this from Sucker Punch. You can see looking to punish a little bit of this play style that has been coming out pretty consistently from GeForce. This is not a one-trick team, though. They can be rolling out in a variety of compositions. They've been, you know, I don't want to say forced, but persuaded to make swaps a couple times.
And we are seeing a substitution as well. Jesco has come in on the DPS line. So we have seen them play Doomfist before. They can be very effective as GeForce elects to go out their right-hand side, out the door. And they've already got a kill. They've claimed Star's life. Jesco's able to get one back with the uppercut. But will it be enough? Now with the main tank gone, it's going to be hard for Sucker Punch to hold on to the space, and that is the Icy Bandit going down again. Jesco into the backline, has a couple kills with the Doomfist, but it doesn't look like it's going to stop anyone to keep attacking right now for GeForce.
Yeah, they were fully prepared for all of that to be happening. As soon as they walked out of spawn, there was the May wall, there was the flash from Cassidy. Everything was ready for what was coming their way. So Sucker Punch, I think, hoping to get a little bit of a drop on them. Unfortunately, not the case. Pretty standard rush composition coming out from GeForce. So not holding true to that, like, you know, maybe that perception of just the wrecking ball.
Kappa starting that one off with the shatter. There was a window spent as well from Eugene. So a couple ultimates spent for a couple feet forward. Kappa just trying to keep everybody locked down on this right-hand side right now as the payload continues its journey forwards, and nobody from Sucker Punch once again can get onto the point and contest. Use the ultimate weapon on the far side on this Cassidy. Cup is able to claim Jesco's life with a fire strike. Trap stack throws down the Deadeye through a window. Nothing doing there. Immortality field comes out, and that is gone almost instantly. And another fight win for GeForce, and they are burning rubber right now.
Just under 5 minutes coming into the distillery, and you can see that this aggression and the tempo that they're setting isn't just a function of the composition. It's not just a function of having that wrecking ball as a bracer. We're still seeing, you know, Kuffa and Anyhow really up in the faces of the defending team here, even on this Reinhardt.
Sucker Punch trying to engage once again, trying to stay on the high ground. They don't want to give that up, not right away. Making sure that they can stay eye level with the enemy. GeForce pushing through, bomb coming through from Anyhow. That's going to force members of Sucker Punch out of position. Jesco's able to get out with 13 HP with a meteor strike into a health pack. Stay alive, stay in the fight. Sound barrier comes out from Ross, and that is going to be the key for Sucker Punch to push forward here, but they are going to have to be aware of the window coming up from Eugene. They don't want to get in line of sight for that for too long. There's going to be a lot of pain coming through that window. And with that, we got Star coming in on the back line. They have a shatter on. Trap Stack is able to get rid of Eugene, and now with Icy Bandit getting another one. This is Sucker Punch turning the fight around. They have 3 picks now. Looking good. Stars on the point. They're frozen up, low HP. A lot of healing coming up from Icy Bandit to try and keep them alive. It's successful. While they are unsuccessful, GeForce is getting rid of that Reinhardt. The rest of Sucker Punch walks around, cleans up, and now they're able to stabilize.
This is a big stabilization. It looked like they kind of just been pushed out as GeForce had just rolling the cart in behind them. And it ended up working in Sucker Punch's favor. Oh, wow.
That was a great start there for Sucker Punch. They were able to get 2, and then as a bonus, Kappa threw down a shatter that was never going to get too much done. Jesco popping off the Doomfist with a couple more final blows. Jesco has looked fantastic when they come in, since they've come in on this Doom.
We have seen this in previous matches before, where the lower seeded team or the underdog has managed to catch these teams off guard with unexpected like Doomfist rollouts and stuff like that. That time we saw the flashbang. The fight is completely shut down. Not only that, but Ultimate Web no longer has the Deadeye there.
Trev Stacks knew nobody was going to suspect the Cassidy coming in for that left-hand side door, and that is about as quick as a fight you will ever see. And so the only silver lining right now for GeForce is there's still a decent amount of time on the clock, partly because of their quick start and partly because Sucker Punch has been winning these fights so quickly.
Yeah, it has worked in their favor. They came in here with, but they, with 5 minutes, but already down to just 2. Jesco doing so much work on this Doomfist.
Magic Mayball had a bad time there. They got shattered and then finished off by the Meteor Strike. Now coming getting very low and taken down after throwing out that Blizzard. Once again, Sucker Punch winning these fights in convincing fashion, and they are right back in this.
Really liking Jesco on this Doomfist. It seems to be a hero that has been consistently brought out in kind of a losing situation to just kind of like mix things up again a little bit and throw these fairly synergistic teams off of their game. You get a strange rollout, unexpected. You can catch everyone off guard.
GeForce hoping this time this rotation works. Big flux coming out from Void. They're getting a lot into the air. That's going to do a ton of damage. And you can see with Pummy switching over to the Torbjorn, that's meant to mark Jesco on this Doomfist just a little bit. Icy Bandit had to use that Immortality Field. Luckily, nobody went down right there. Jesco trying to get into the backline, but the job's going to be that much more tougher with the auto-shooting turnaround, but it doesn't matter. They're able to get in and get Ultimate Web. Great dive in there from Jesco. And once again, Sucker Punch trying to get the kills they need, but this time it is getting turned around by GeForce. They are staying alive in this fight, getting over the point payload and moving that forward once again.
This is exactly what Sucker Punch wants to be doing. You've seen Pummy move over to the Torbjorn. They're not allowing them to play the game that they want to be playing. They're forcing some swaps, forcing them into uncomfortable positions, which is what GeForce is usually so good at doing.
Ross gets taken down there by Ultweb coming through the window. Jesco barely flew behind to avoid that Deadeye. They get taken down by anyhow on the Diva, and that's going to be the second point taken. But a better defense on the second phase by Sucker Punch. They were able to get a lot of time stripped off that clock.
Yeah, that got a little rough for them on the first point. Cruised right into second, but now 90 seconds remaining, and this is a long point on Havana. This is, a very defensive position for Sucker Punch to be in. If they can shut this down, I think if they continue running these kind of like creative approaches, they have a chance at pulling this away from GeForce.
Speaking of creative approaches, Pummy just taking a bit of a rest on the payload before they throw down the whole floor, seeing if they can catch anybody unawares. One pick coming through now, 2 for Sucker Punch. Once again, doing some work. Enio was able to find one in the back with the bomb, so those 2 ultimate spent get 2 eliminations for GeForce. But Sucker Punch is still holding tightly to this payload, coming back in through Star, swinging away, trying to get some extra damage done. Plummy with a nice shot onto Icy Bandit to get them taken down, and once again, that's a big source of healing con, this time from the Baptist.
Trev Stacks now doesn't find anything there. Magic Ball has another beat to match. Both support ults coming out here from Sucker Punch. This is still really defensible for them.
30 seconds remaining. Big window coming out here from Icy Bandit. That is going to make the payload a no-fly zone momentarily, and with that, Jesco is going to finish off. A turret beat comes out from Ross. That's a lot of extra shields coming down, but it's not going to matter for Star. They get absolutely deleted. A lot of picks very quickly. A great window coming out from Eugene once again, and that is going to get this payload most likely over the finish line here. Getting so close, that is going to do it. 1.1 seconds remaining for GeForce.
That's incredible, and you can see a nice Pummy just having a seat on the front of the truck there, rolling it in. Sucker Punch seems to be figuring it out a little bit there, looking a lot stronger, taking advantage of the surprise that they can be bringing. We saw the surprise Cassidy coming out and flash banging the Deadeye out, the surprise Doomfist coming out. Jesco getting a ton of work done, especially on that second point. They chewed through so much of the time bank. I gotta hand it to GeForce though, to be coming in with 90 seconds, third point Havana. To finish with any time at all is really impressive.
Yeah, and 1.1 seconds is going to be good enough for them to get another attack attack if they do so need it. And it's going to be up to Sucker Punch to see if they can secure a larger time bank.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to continue kind of running this like strange disruption here, as we do have a pause coming in here. Let's see, maybe some sort of a technical difficulty on one of the teams. I do really like Jessica, though, on this Doomfist. I think it's been really solid. And it's exactly what you need to be doing to kind of catch these established teams off guard. And we've seen it being a really consistent strategy throughout the tournament.
Yes, the Doomfist has been really good, at least in this match so far. And I mean, looking at what Sucker Punch was able to do once that Doomfist was introduced, it gives you hope that this could be a closer match than we initially expected.
Yeah, and I also wonder if this is something that, of course, is going to kind of adapt to as they move forward. Or if it's something that Sucker Punch will be able to continue to capitalize on, and really shows a crack in the armor of G-Force here. I feel like if I'm a team that's facing G-Force further in the tournament, which they're a powerhouse, I wouldn't be surprised if any of these teams would be facing them further in the tournament. I'd be taking note of this. This is like really interesting. We have an Australia moment, which is what we're seeing here. So Kaffa most likely having some Australian ping moments.
So we're going to have to wait for Kaffa to come back. I mean, it's hard enough to play Overwatch with all 6 players, so I wouldn't want to see G-Force try and take it going down with just 5 members and no main tank.
There's something I should tell you about Overwatch too.
I said no main tank. I thought the off tank was one. I guess it doesn't matter. There's just one tank, so there's still a tank.
But yeah, so Kava gonna work out some of those technical difficulties while we try and sort that out. But yeah, I like this from Sucker Punch. I think they're playing to what they need to be doing. They know they're coming into an uphill battle here. They've seen G-Force play before, and it is oppressive. So being able to disrupt that constant motion that G-Force seems to be in, it's very fluid. They're everywhere, kind of all the time. Being able to catch them off guard is, I would say, rare, but it seems to be extremely valuable.
It is, and I think another valuable thing that Sucker Punch could do going forward is maybe protect Icy Bandit just a little bit more. I'm not saying it's Icy Bandit's fault by any means, but Icy Bandit has been going down quick and early in a lot of these fights, whether they were on the Moira or the Bat. And I think if they're going to want to consistently take these fights and get these wins, they're going to have to make sure that support stays alive.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're losing a lot of that sustain early in these fights, and it's so difficult to stay up after that. You lose your Baptiste, you lose your Moira, you're really banking on the amount of healing that's coming out of that, especially when they're running like 6-man and things like that. Your 3 players disconnected. International networking moment is actually, okay, so we're gonna try and figure that out. I think we should just go to a little break here, and we'll let the players sort out all their internet connections, and we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, we are back. NewBeat here with Ageless. So we're about to dive back into the action between G-Force and Sucker Punch after some connection issues, but we are ready to get back at it.
Yeah, we're going to head back to Havana. I think we got everything smoothed out. Really liking what Sucker Punch has brought out so far. I think they managed to chip a lot of time off of that attack from G-Force. They've set themselves up for a winnable situation here, which is, coming into this, they're definitely the underdog. They're looking good, and we saw earlier, I think it was Tickety was saying, you just don't want to be the easy team to get knocked out. And you don't want anyone to feel like, oh, okay, we're good, we're playing Sucker Punch, this will be okay. Providing some sort of a threat there is looking good. It's looking good for the players. It's looking good for the team. I think they've achieved that so far. Like, it's going to get a bit of a close hold here from G-Force.
And just a quick note as well, the Diva that you're seeing now is still anyhow just on a different account to avoid some of those connection issues. And with that, we are back into it. G-Force trying to hold up close and personal right now to get this going on their defense on Havana. We want to remember that Sucker Punch already did their defense, so G-Force ended with 1.1 on the clock, and now it's going to be up to Sucker Punch to best that.
Completely flip sides or just go back on this Doomfist. Really happy to see this, although Hunt down. Pummy gets knocked out though, so this is going to be a lot of this kind of like sustained damage, no longer available for them.
Good peel coming out there as well from the Diva and Void to make sure that their backline was safe, and now it's going to be Icy Band to get rid of the mech of anyhow. Star goes down as well, finished off by Magic Maple. So G-Force so far so good. They haven't really given up a lot of room on the payload, but now Anywho coming back in and getting rid of Icy Bandit with a remake.
It did look like Sucker Punch had to stabilize on their offense. Completely the opposite here, and some big ultimates have come online for So Ultima Web does have this Dragon Strike. Kaffa has a Shatter. Big pieces online for them here. Star has a Shatter. Oh, again, Pummy gets taken out.
Window coming through as well, and Ultima Web is going to finish off Ross with the Dragon Strike. Now the Shatter coming out as well. Void pushing forward, getting rid of Kaffa. Star trying to put everyone on their back at 200 HP. Has to back up at the end just to get themselves healed up as quickly as possible, and they're going to come back and keep trying to push this forward.
Looking to finally get some space created here for Sucker Punch, and we're seeing G-Force make a hasty retreat. Ross has the beat available, Trev stacks with the wall. Nothing really, explosive as far as the ultimates go, but definitely some staying power available here.
And now we have some ultimates coming out to start this fight off as well. Pummy throwing down the sim wall right away. Trev stacks as well, almost mirrored walls. Look at that. It's a very hard time to get damage through for either team right now waiting for those walls to go away. Doomfist does not care about shields though. They're going to go right through, get rid of Plummy, and now Jesco is going to work. Gets in there with the Meteor Strike and cleaning up in the back. This Doomfist is here to stay.
And I am so glad to hear it. I think this is a good substitution. They brought Jesco in, and you're absolutely right. Has no regard for either of those photon barriers that came through. Ultima Web does have another Dragon Strike though, so they are going to get a good contest.
And that contest is going to start off with the Amplification Matrix coming up from Eugene, as well as that Dragon Strike. A lot of ultimates being thrown in. Anyhow throws that Diva Bomb into the back, and that gets 4! What a bomb coming out from Anyhow, and now this is just cleanup after an absolute nightmare for Sucker Punch, watching that Diva Bomb fly over their heads and then just detonate.
There was a boop there. I think this was Magic Maple that actually set up this play. You could see all the members of Sucker Punch, it looked like they just like been blown towards the bomb there. So really nice heads up play from Magic Maple. This is why this player has been so lauded coming into this match. It's just plays like this.
Sucker Punch going for another Shatter. That's a big one from Star. I don't know if Kaffa was trying to play cute or they were unaware about the Reinhardt coming behind them. Either way, they are back in spawn. Trev Stacks gets a kill onto Eugene, and Sucker Punch is going to win this fight. It looks like they're getting a lot of picks very quickly.
You managed to get the payload in here, and Optimal Web isolated at the end for a late kill. Kuffa does have the Shatter coming into his Magic 8 Ball. With the beat, actually a lot of ultimates going to be available here for GeForce here. They're going to have to keep up this aggression. I like Sucker Punch. The way they've been playing here, they're still playing their game. You see Jesco has moved over to the Hanzo, looking for a little bit more of that long-range pick potential.
And already a couple final blows for Jesco as well. We can see a window coming out from Icy Bandit. These windows used for initiation tools time and time again, but Magic 8 Ball is going to try to turn the tide in their favor by throwing down that sound barrier as well, and that is going to allow Anyhow to get forward and get rid of Star. 2 gone now for Sucker Punch. It is a 5v4. GeForce has the advantage, and Anyhow is getting into the back. That's going to do it. GeForce is going to stabilize here. They are back on top as far as this team fight goes, and they are going to burn a lot of time off the clock here. It looks like nice shot by Jesco though.
Yeah, Jesco was in a pretty dire situation there. I'm surprised they made it out. So, good to manage to stay alive here. Void with the Diva Bomb, Ross with the beat. So we're probably going to see that come out on the other side from Anyhow's bomb.
And speaking of Anyhow's bomb, it comes in over the top. This time it's only going to get Ross, but that's not a terrible pick to get that Lucio out of the fight. Magic 8 Ball gets a kill of their own. And the bomb in from Void is going to yield nothing. Coming back in, Plummy is pushing forward, getting charged up fully on that sim and doing so much damage. There comes the Shatter out from Star. Can that turn it around? With that sound barrier from Ross, a lot of ultimates being spent here by Sucker Punch just to get into the door, and Ultimate Web has those dragons online, ready to push him back once again.
This ended up being a really fortunately timed bomb from Anyhow. Ross was at 99% to that beat, so there was just nothing available to deal with it.
Right now there is a bit of an advantage for Sucker Punch because Trapstacks was able to get a kill, but it's not going to last too much longer. Window and dragons coming out. A lot going through, both dragons being spent. It is very dangerous coming through that door, no matter which color you are right now. Blood is able to get another kill in on the Star, and it looks like the added danger is now going for Sucker Punch. They are losing members going out of their mech. And even though Plummy falls to the ground, that's going to be Anyhow finishing off Ross. Kuffa spends the Shatter to get rid of Jesco. Overtime burning away. This is looking like Sucker Punch isn't going to get too much close to anywhere right now. Charge into the back from Kuffa. Finishes off Icy Bandit. There is a bit of contesting happening on the point as Star was able to get over there and keeps this overtime going. But for how long? Spinning in circles, taking damage from every conceivable direction. They are finally going to succumb, and with that, overtime burns away, and it is now 2-0 GeForce. What
looked like a very hopeful third point hold there for Sucker Punch. Unfortunately, not able to be matched on the attack. Anyhow, coming back, we're gonna get a chance to see this bomb here. So I really felt like there was something else at play. Oh, we're not gonna see it. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I was hoping to be able to. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, Lucio assists on all the way across on.
Eagle Eye Ageless once again finding the clue that solves the case. That is a great boop coming out from Lucio like that. That's honestly better than like booping people over the edge sometimes. It's just such a surprising move. So a big shout out to Magic 8 Ball there. That is a massive Lucio play. And honestly, that's something that bugs me about Overwatch and has forever. Is the Diva, when Diva gets a self-destruct kill like that, you see the perspective of the pilot Diva and not the bomb. I always wish you could see it from the bomb's perspective when it's like the play of the game.
I feel like it comes up on like Reddit like every 3 months. Like, but what if you could share plays of the game and then we could show both perspectives? And that's a pretty good argument for it right there. Having the ability to see exactly what was going on there. This is going to be do or die now for Sucker Punch, and they're otherwise going to be going down into the lower bracket. I think in the meantime, though, let's take a quick break here. We'll give the teams a chance to recollect themselves. I know at the last map we did have a little bit of a break there, but it wasn't a real break. It was more like a panic break. So we'll give them a moment to get everything sorted, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, friends. It's NewBeat here with Ageless at the Questline Open as we're getting ready for Map 3 between Sucker Punch and G-Force. So far, mostly everything has gone G-Force's way. They are up 2-0 at the moment, but there's always a chance for Sucker Punch to come back. They did have some bright spots in that last map, specifically Jessica.
Jesco has been playing fantastically. I think the Doomfist is really effectively catching G-Force off guard. We did see the Torb switch at the end of G-Force's attack, which kind of turned the tables a little bit, and you can kind of find out it'll mark the Doomfist pretty effectively, it turns out. So I wonder if they're going to be forced to do that again. I thought, like, yeah, you move to the Torb, yeah, it's going to mark Jesco, but at the same time, you're throwing G-Force off of their game, which is really what Sucker Punch should be doing here, I think, and needs to continue to be doing. They've looked the best when they've done it. They don't let G-Force play the game that they would like to do.
Right, so then it becomes, what else can you do on top of that to make it even more effective? How are you going to deal with things like the Torbjorn that G-Force brought out at the end of Havana on their attack that kind of really limited Jessica's effectiveness?
I think at that point you've already made steps towards success. You force the swap to Torb, and yeah, it's reduced your Doomfist ability a little bit, but at the same time, they need to be dislodging G-Force, and I think that's the closest they've looked, was destroying them off their game and not allowing them to play with the amount of kind of like synergistic aggression that we've seen throughout. We are heading to King's Row, as you can see here. This worries me a little bit. I feel like we've seen a fist on King's Row A, and it hasn't really panned out. I don't think a single time that we've seen it.
That's true. It seems to be pretty ineffective when the Doomfist is brought out on this map, so we'll have to see what Jesco elects to play this time around. Sucker Punch is going to start on the defense as well, and Plummy looks like, at least for now, they're showing the Pharaoh, which could be a very interesting pick.
Yeah, I guess that's the other way that you deal with a pesky Doomfist, is you just don't touch the ground anymore, which seems to be exactly what they're looking to do here. So a bit of a different look coming out here. So this is Sucker Punch's map pick. They're aiming to come in here with what looks like a pretty standard rush composition here. Jesco on the Doomfist as expected. And I like this. I still like this. G-Force is now running, double bubble with a couple flyers, which is not... Oh, boy.
That one was unfortunate for Magic Mateball. They got hit by a bunch of damage just coming out of the spawn door. So that's going to put a momentary pause on this attack while they wait for the Mercy to get back into the fight. But even then, Plummy's going to push forward with a Plum and see if they can get an early pick. Ross getting the final blows so far on that Lucio.
Yeah, that's 3 final blows for Ross. Okay, maybe this is the scene that Sucker Punch really needed. It was like everyone look at the Jesco Doomfist. JK, here comes the DJ.
Yeah, no kidding. Ross really the bloodthirsty support at the moment. G-Force finally mustering their forces, getting ready to go in for another attack with Plummy and Ultima Web coming in over the top and the rest of their forces going right down the middle. Window coming out from Feza to start this off, who has been substituted into the game this time around for the Icy Bandit. So no more Icy Bandit. We got Feza on that flex support line now for Sucker Punch.
So much pressure coming onto Star here, and you can see Trev Stacks making a nice little wraparound.
But it doesn't look like it's going to pay off. They did get the flashbang, but it was too little, too late. Plummy over the top with Ultima Web. They're able to get 2. This is going to be the first point capped for G-Force. They're going to get the payload moving. They're above 5 minutes, so nothing wrong with their attack so far.
Yeah, they're sitting pretty here. Pretty cheap there. They still have 4 ultimates coming up to 5 in the bank. Just under 5 minutes to be pushing through Streets phase, which can go really quickly on Kings Row.
And there are a lot of ultimates online for G-Force right now, and not too many for Sucker Punch. So depending on how these ultimates are spent, this fight could be won. Ultima Web is going to start it off. Copies the Sombra, seeing if they can build up an EMP, but they are evicted from that duplicate form almost instantly with a lot of damage coming their way. Coming going through the side, they throw down the Barrage, are able to get 2 before they get hacked out of it, and Void finishes them off. A lot of rockets going both ways there.
I like this beat at the end from Ross too. It seems to be the way that Thunder teams are, taking full advantage of the surprise they have. And it doesn't quite work out as well as it has in the past for some of these teams. I like it though. I like the engagement. I like the decisiveness there of just, putting more resources than maybe G-Force expects into some of these fights.
And on the plus side for G-Force, Kuffa was able to earn a lot of real estate there at the end of the fight with the Primal Rage. Trev Stacks getting sped forward with the ultimate. They're able to take down Plummy. That is absolutely huge coming in there. And with that, Void is going to come in with the micro missiles. Kills are coming through, and Sucker Punch might have a shot in this fight. Kuffa getting very low, but they're able to get healed up and stay in this fight.
Ultima Web, very sneaky on the Echo. I don't think anyone knew that they were there. Almost managed to sneak in a strange little back cap with everyone around.
But luckily for Sucker Punch, they were able to make sure that didn't happen. And now, if you're a defender, this is a good place to hold. You're taking these fights a long way from the attacker spawn, and a couple fight wins can really burn some time off the clock.
I mean, moving over to the Genji now. So no more Pharah for them. And we start off with the Nano here.
The Nano going into the backline onto Kuffa. Seeing if they can once again make worse than working with Eugene's able to get 1 kill, and now the kills come real quick for G-Force. Getting a lot in a very short amount of time. Kuffa juggling Star at the back, and that's going to be the end of Star's life this time around. Second point taken, still 4 minutes on the clock, and G-Force is looking pretty sharp at the moment.
The Jesco's move on to the Echo as well. So matching Web, although Ultima does have the copy available here as well as Anyhow's bomb.
G-Force just hanging out on the high ground. Ultima looking to go for a bit of a cheeky flank here underneath, coming out the other side. Beautifully done from Ultima Web. Now the bomb coming in. Everybody was looking at the Echo in the back, and that's going to get 2 from Anyhow. That is how you play it. They planned it. Hey, everyone, look at this Echo over here. They throw the bomb over the top. That's going to get 2. And with that numbers advantage, the rest of G-Force is pushing forward right up to the spawn doors. Kuffa's able to get another kill, and the duplicate comes out from Ultima to give everybody some extra damage with a duplicated supercharger. And this payload is getting perilously close to the end if you're Sucker Punch. Plummy in the backline with the blade. They get 3. Plummy is on fire, trying to push forward, slicing and dicing, seeing if they can get rid of Jesco on the Doomfist, and they do. That's another one, even though Void is able to get rid of Kuffa. That might be too little too late. Star just staying on the point with the Orisa. Finally goes down to Ultimate Web as well. Luckily the spawn advantage for Sucker Punch is buying them a little bit more time as they're getting back in on the point.
Yeah, this is a really key stabilization here, but they're going to need to hold on to it and not let their foot off the gas. You can see G-Force already, again, giving them no room to breathe.
And with Kappa getting back into the fight, that's going to be Jesco having to go back to spawn. Tresdax gets killed to trade that out, but Ultimate Weapon's up high in the sky and still at half HP, doing so much extra damage, almost up to another duplicate as Star falls to the wayside once again. Ultimate Weapon doing so much damage from up in on top, and with Jesco going down, it's going to be the end right here. It looks like Ultimate Weapon just doing too much damage right now. Sucker Punch has nothing to deal with that.
We extended again, just the oppressive play of G-Force on full display here. What looked like a stabilization coming out from Sucker Punch is just denied.
And now they have to deal with those mines on the point as well, as Ultimate was built up the duplicate and copied Star almost immediately on that Wrecking Ball. That's going to do it. Round 1 is done. So a lot of time burnt off the end relatively from where it started, but 147 in the time bank is not so bad.
Yeah, they're super happy with that. I think Sucker Punch probably not expecting the continued engagement from G-Force there at the end. You know, the spawn advantage, as you said, very much in Sucker Punch's favor, and I think maybe took some of that urgency away. G-Force, not the case on their side, still feeling every bit of urgency on their side, and again, just keeping the pressure up.
And with that, the situation is clear for Sucker Punch. They have to get all the way to the end of King's Row if they want to continue in this bracket for the time being. If G-Force is able to hold a defense anywhere before that, they're going to go on in the bracket and send Sucker Punch down to the lower bracket.
I also just want to give a shout out to our observers for what we're looking at right now. This is like an art piece. This is a beautiful shot of King's Row. Not to take away from any of the action, but this looks great.
Yeah, it does look fantastic, and thanks to that comic that came out about 2 years ago, I learned that it's actually an underground city. Like,
oh, yeah.
5 years after the game came out, so it really took me a while to get there, but we are going to see Sucker Punch coming out on the offense here, and we're going to see a Zarya sighting with Void on that Zarya.
Yeah, going with the double bubble. Jesco onto the Echo again. Oh, taking a little bit of damage coming out of the spawn. Pumming on the Junkrat.
And Bummy looked good on the Junkrat earlier, so why not try it again? You can see Kappa and Star on the Winstons just tickling each other right now. A bit of a tickle fight happening at the choke. Pummy, no one's seen Pummy yet. Pummy's about to do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, not able to get any final blows, but they were able to disrupt a lot. A nice sleep coming out, though, from Eugene to make sure, or sorry, from Feza to make sure that Pummy can't get any extra value on that Junkrat.
Yeah, got really sneaky there for a rat that's on fire throwing a landmine. Shut down there completely by Feza, who just got Goomba stopped.
Absolutely flattened there by Kuffa, and now Ultimate Web getting another kill onto Void. The focusing beams are out in full flight right now. Anyhow coming back in and getting another kill. G-Force is really trying to hold on here, even though they are losing members.
There just seems to be no giving up for G-Force, and that's kind of defines their play style. It seems there's not really any retreat.
And now they have more or less stabilized, staying and holding that choke, and they are burning so much time off the clock. Already 2:30 left for Sucker Punch to get this first point.
Yeah, chewing through a lot as the rally does come out from Ross.
And now the rally that EMP has also been thrown onto the field, not doing too much. Only one member, Pummy, looked like they were the only one hit by that EMP coming out. Bob coming in over the top, and Eddie who's able to get two, but Ross is able to get two of their own. The trades are coming through between the Brig and the Diva, but at the end of the day, G-Force reigns supreme once again, just getting a little bit more value.
Oh, that's a big bomb from Anyhow. Oh no, Kuffa on serious ping, opting to emote on the top of the statue. A little dangerous here. Sucker Punch does have the spawn advantage, and they've swapped Void over to the Diva to get back quicker.
And now Sucker Punch re-engaging once again, but Pummy's getting two in a blink of an eye. getting into the backline, demecking Void. Void's not long for this world now. The baby diva is also gone. Star got into the back with a Primal Rage. They were able to get one of their own. But that's really not a lot right now, even though Jesco has popped the duplicate.
Oh, unreal, and oh, Kappa. The sheer confidence of Kappa on this.
And Kappa is finally going to have to back out here. I think another couple kills come through. Trev Stacks has switched over to the Widowmaker to get a couple surprise kills, and it seems to be working, and now they've switched over to the Tracer.
Oh, that might have been a little bit too overconfident here, by doing a little bit of spawn camping. I do like Pummy on this Doomfist. I think sometimes it's like, this hero is giving us some trouble, and instead of just trying to counter them the whole time, just create your own problems.
And now Sucker Punch is on a attack of their own, but Pummy's going to go into the backline. They do have the get out of jail free card in the Meteor Strike if they want to use it to escape. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. Nope, they're going to keep engaging with it, putting some extra damage down, getting down to 115 HP. But Kappa is going to use that confusion to get into the back and get one kill of their own. And G-Force, trying to hold this choke, is doing a pretty decent job so far.
I really like this play from G-Force, and it seems to be their whole philosophy. Oh, they're disengaged now. You know, with Pummy on that Meteor Strike, no exception.
Anyhow, able to get another Diva Bomb kill. I've honestly lost count of how many there have been in this match. And that is, once again, opening up some area for Pummy to get forward. They were the ones to finish off Star. Obviously, they had help from other members of their team. And Ultima Whip just hanging out on the side, seeing if they can find a quick duplicate target.
Trev Stacks trying to get a little bit sneaky there, and oh yeah, the copy comes out from Ultima Web.
And they are going to lose their mech before the self-destruct comes in, so unfortunately that's not great when you're the copied Echo. And we can see that happening again. Jesco is also elected to duplicate the Diva, getting into the backline, getting closer to self-destruct. Can they earn one up of their own? Yes, they can. Not going to waste any time, they're going to throw that in. There is a Primal Rage out there from Star. Jesco was able to find one with that copied ultimate. And I really think Star helped out there by using that Primal Rage and knocking a bunch of people around.
Jesco has absolutely been a big highlight player for Sucker Punch so far. Pummy wrapping around here, so they are going to have any house bomb, and here comes that nano from Eugene.
That has been popped in. Star is nanoed right now, seeing if they can push forward. Both Winstons with the nano boost supply, two glowing scientists go in the same direction, flying forward. Kappa is going to fall victim to the Diva, and with that, this is the payload just kind of hanging out at the moment. Nobody for Sucker Punch left to get on cart.
Yeah, I think they're going to have about 2 fights here. This could be a really good place to be using Void's Bomb. Magic Maple, though, does have the beat. If they're going to have to use it, like, now, I think, if they want to miss it.
Trev Stacks is going to get an early pick onto Pummy, and that is going to allow Sucker Punch to walk forward here, press W, see if they can get any extra distance away from their own spawn. Bomb coming into the backline once again. This one isn't going to be as fantastic as some others have been today. Sucker Punch pushing forward. I think G-Force trying to reload here for one last contest.
This is it, 15 seconds left as the bomb comes out and Void gets one.
Beautifully done by Void. You can see Kappa trying to stay alive by using that Primal Rage, getting the extra HP. Star foraying into the back, seeing if they can hunt down that Winston. They are able to hunt down the pilot Diva there, with Void getting another kill. Void popping off a little bit, probably just finishing off low health targets with the quad cannons on the Diva, and that's going to do .2. So not going to be able to match the time bank, but the payload is still going forward.
They've managed to keep themselves into the game, and oh, that's a nice bio nade there from Eugene. Ends up just shutting down any sort of aggression that Star can get out of this nano, which is like a single cooldown.
This time Pummy using the Meteor Strike to get into the back once again, and Ross greets them with a whip shot to the nose, and that's not going to feel good if you're a Doomfist. That is a very tough play there. You can see as Sucker Punch still pushing forward, getting close to the end of this map now. Due to the comes out, Jesco is now going to take the form of a Winston. Ultimate Weapon was able to get rid of Ross. That's the Brig out of the fight.
4 Winstons currently on the field. This is definitely an oops all Winstons moment if there has been, and they're all primaling, it seems like.
That's absolutely insane. They were just bouncing Winstons going every which way. Just a veritable planet of the apes.
30 seconds or 25 seconds left remaining now. Ross does have the rally, so it's going to be a good engagement tool for them here. We've talked a lot about Jesco. Ross has been so consistent on this Brigitte.
And with that, we are coming to the final fight here. The best Sucker Punch can really hope for now is to get the payload all the way in and then fight for a draw on an extra round of defense. Trying to soak up some of that armor coming up from the ulting Ross on that Brig. Overtime is now ready, and that means that anyhow is going to throw the bomb in over the top. That's not going to get anything. There were some shields available. High noon into the backline as well as Pummy pops that ultimate. Both teams throwing in ultimates, but the kills coming through in the neutral. Pummy staying into the backline. Nice flash and then a shot onto Trev Stacks. They weren't really at full health anymore, so didn't even need the headshot.
Oh, just folding things up here. Kava against so much aggression coming up. They can't even touch.
That's going to do it. G-Force is going to take it. They're going to win this match 3-0, and they're going to move on in the Questline Open upper bracket. And that one hurts for Sucker Punch, but they will get a chance once again in the lower bracket.
I think if you're Sucker Punch, you're still happy with this. They knew they were coming in as the underdog. Hummy just slicing through everyone on G-Force's attack. But yeah, Sucker Punch, you're happy with that. I think they're a fairly newer team. And you're going up against an absolute juggernaut in G-Force. We saw some really bright spots, some real highlights coming out. We talked about Jesco, Ross as well on the Brigitte. On that support, I thought did such a good job throughout that, dealing with the amount of pressure and the amount of aggression that was coming up from G-Force's tank line.
Yes, and looking at the winners, I mean, hats off to G-Force. They played a great game in that last match. And speaking of bright spots, we've talked before about how good Cup is, and people know how good Cup is. But I think anyhow on the off-tank role looked fantastic. And, you know, Magic 8-Ball made them look even better with that boop.
Absolutely, and I think we had the Australia moment there with the internet connection. I think the real Australia would just Kaffa's performance consistently from Australia. There's been it's always tough playing international tournaments when you're dealing with ping. That's serious ping, and that's a serious performance.
Yeah, 100%. And congratulations to G-Force. It was a good showing. We know that they have been a strong team, and they will be going forward into the next round. They will be playing. I believe it'll be Roadhog Rides Again is who they will be playing in the next round. So that will be the next match that they have to look forward to.
Yeah, and then so for us, this is going to be our last cast of the tournament.
Yes.
We're going to still be on the desk, but this is going to be for us casting matches. So it has been wonderful. So big thanks to BPL and the production team, as well as T6. And we'll hand things off here to Tickety and Julian.
Hello there, and welcome back to the desk. It's still Tickety and myself last time for today, as we just witnessed this 3-0. G-Force taking the W against Sucker Punch. They'll move on into winners round 2 in this playoff matchup, and Sucker Punch, they'll have to play again later against Bay State. Tickety, again, G-Force cleared 3-0 here? Had it been close at any point?
I will probably say this was one of the most one-sided matchups we've seen throughout this whole tournament. G-Force really just playing on a whole nother level and proving that even on maps like Havana and Kings Road, they can take the game at their own pace. We saw them come out really dominantly on the first map on the ball composition that we know them for, on being able to maintain that constant pressure. So I think what Sucker Punch did was the correct call. They took them to more closed sightline maps like Havana, not many flank routes, very long sightlines, things like that. Typically the tools you need to shut down that aggressive dive. But then GeForce hits right back, and being able to mirror the Rhine comp and take a better time on Havana as well means that they were able to just punch right back at Sucker Punch's own game. And then we see almost like a victory lap on Kings Row. And I had to shed a little bit of a tear as I was watching, because Kings Row, I mean, in my day, I don't know about you, but I always think of Kings Row as like the Rhine map, right? If Rhine's good nowhere else, he's still going to be good on Kings Row. And we see Sucker Punch lining up their defense with a more classic Rhine brawl, playing around the Doomfist stuff like they've been trying to do on Havana. And GeForce just says, maybe not. Maybe we'll play our game instead. And they roll out with this funky composition on the Echo and the Pharah, both flyers, and just prevent Sucker Punch from being able to do basically anything they were originally planning to with that Rhine-based composition. They started out with a decent hold. I remember their Lucio Ross getting a bunch of quick kills in the early times, but then quickly found their pace, and GeForce just absolutely steamrolling through the majority of that map. Definitely a tough one, but if anything, it shows just how dominant GeForce can be in the current meta, and showing that they're not just like a one-trick ball team. They're confident in playing multiple playstyles, some of which we might not see again on some of these compositions and some of the sillier stuff. But definitely more than confident on a lot of these compositions, and looking to make those finals at a breakneck pace with how fast they're finishing out these series. So well played, GeForce. A nice attempt truly from Sucker Punch, but I think just across the board, individual skill level, macro fundamentals, team-wide adaptations, all these kinds of things, they didn't do anything explicitly wrong, but GeForce was just playing on a whole nother level and managed to close that one out quickly.
Absolutely, and GeForce, the superior force in this matchup, so they'll be seen again next weekend, while a Sucker Punch has to go through the loser bracket now, facing up against Space State, who earlier lost to Roadhog Rides again. So yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about this matchup. GeForce, as you said, steamed through Sucker Punch right there, and I think for now it's goodbye from our side, as Tickety and myself are done for the day, and we'll have some new desk hosts right after the break we're just about to go into. And yeah, for now, thank you very much to Ageless and NewBeat casting those two matches, and after the quick break we're going to go into now, let's see who's welcoming you at the desk. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's go right into that break.